Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've pulled together a really sharp stack of sources and coaching notes today, and we are aiming our sights squarely at the PGA Tour. But forget the highlights reel, the big drives. We're doing a deep dive into the microscopic operational differences, the things you just can't see on TV that separate a tour pro from, well, even a really, really good amateur golfer.
The low handicap player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our source material is built around the insights of a highly respected coach, Henrik Jentsch. And he systematically breaks down their success into 4 critical, repeatable pillars.
Right. And we're going way beneath just the swing mechanics. This is about the strategic mindset.
Yes. It's not just about, raw athletic skill. It's about this ruthless, almost obsessive pursuit of consistency and a data-driven strategy that pretty much governs every single decision they make.
And that's really our mission for you today. We want you to understand how these golfers translate physical talent into predictable excellence. I mean, they treat consistency as a controllable output, not some happy accident.
Right.
We're going to explore the specific techniques, the mindset that elevates them, from locking down their body position before the swing even starts to maintaining an almost machine-like rhythm. And finally, using data to calculate risk in a way that just fundamentally alters how they approach the green.
And we're going to walk through these pillars logically. We'll start with the most fundamental difference, which is this near-perfect, reproducible precision in their pre-shot setup. Then we'll move into the concept of their consistent tempo, or as the sources call it, their individual inner cadence. And finally, we'll break down their really sophisticated strategic targeting, which reveals the statistical reason why they are rarely, if ever, aiming directly at the flag.
Yeah, that one's a big one.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with the very first place consistency is built, precision in the setup. When we watch a pro, they look so relaxed. They step up, they hit the ball with incredible accuracy. But Jentsch argues the real magic, it starts long before the backswing. Just how detailed is this preparation?
Well, think of it as the ultimate operational blueprint. I mean, if you think about any complex task, launching a rocket, performing surgery, the outcome is hugely dependent on the pre-operation checklist.
Right.
In golf, the setup is that checklist. And for a PGA Tour player, there is, and I mean this, zero tolerance for deviation.
So what are they specifically controlling at this microscopic level? I mean, isn't it just grip and stance?
Oh, it's exhaustive. And it's completely standardized. We're talking about the precise alignment of the feet and shoulders, the specific grip position, the exact ball position relative to the feet.
The ball position, right.
Their posture, down to the bend in the knees, and critically, the specific distance they stand from the ball. And this level of consistency, it's non-negotiable. It applies to everything, from a little tap-in putt to a 300-yard drive.
I can just imagine how easy it is for an amateur to, subtly shift their ball position forward or back based on what they were thinking about 5 minutes ago. That one tiny shift must have a massive downstream effect on the club face at impact.
Exactly. The whole purpose is to eliminate variables before the swing even begins. If the setup is guaranteed to be the same every single time, then any deviation in the result, it must come from the motion itself. It just removes that mental burden of doubt. They are wondering, was I too close or was the ball too far back? They know statistically the setup was perfect.
Wow, okay.
And this is why you see pros, even during warm-ups, obsessively using aids like alignment sticks pointed at the target. This isn't remedial work. It's, you could say, confirmation bias, but in a good way. They're ensuring that the feel they're trying to reproduce matches the physical reality of a perfect setup. It's all about building a consistent, repeatable starting point. So the focus can shift entirely to the kinetic movement of the swing.
That's a fascinating takeaway for anyone listening who handles critical, repeatable tasks. I mean, for you, the insight is that excellence doesn't start with action. It starts with preparation. If your foundation, your checklist, your prep routine is sloppy, you're just introducing noise into the system, and that forces you to compensate later.
And compensation is the enemy of consistency.
Absolutely, in any high-stakes environment.
Yeah.
The pro eliminates the need to adjust by making that pre-shot routine a perfect replication every single time. Now, if the setup is the foundation, the swing tempo is definitely the engine. And here's where it gets really interesting. Because the second crucial factor is maintaining a constant rhythm and tempo, something the sources identify as their individual inner cadence.
This is where the professionals truly differentiate themselves. Tour players are masters at keeping the same tempo and rhythm across all their shots. So the speed ratio of their backswing to their downswing for a delicate 70-yard wedge shot is often identical to the ratio they use for their hardest driver swing.
Wait, that sounds counterintuitive to the amateur brain. If I want to hit it far, I feel like I need to accelerate everything. The transition, the downswing, the whole rhythm just feels faster.
And that is the common amateur trap. When amateurs need distance, they speed up the rhythm, which creates timing issues and results in poor contact. When a pro needs more distance, they increase the force, the muscular effort, but they maintain the cadence. They don't swing faster, they swing harder on the same internal clock.
Ah, okay. That's a huge distinction.
Think of it like a drum beat. The pro's drum beat, their tempo, is totally independent of the situation or the required power. It stays consistent even under the highest pressure standing over a putt to win or when they need to hit a mammoth drive into a headwind. They rely entirely on that individual inner cadence.
So if I understand the distinction, the tempo is the timing, the 1-2-3 rhythm, and the force is the volume of the swing. The volume can change, but the timing must be absolute.
Precisely. And that's why this inner cadence is so critical. Every professional has their own unique, specific rhythm. It might be a 3-to-1 ratio, 3 counts back, 1 count down, or maybe 4-to-1. But the key is that once they identify and own that signature rhythm, they stick to it religiously.
Yeah.
It's what allows them to access maximum power through perfect timing, not through brute, uncontrolled speed.
So how do you even train something that subtle? How do you lock in an inner cadence?
Well, they turn it into a measurable quantity. We know many players use metronomes or specialized swing timers during practice.
Right.
And they're not just using them to be slow, they're using them to lock in that exact personalized ratio between the backswing and the forward motion. They're basically conditioning their nervous system to internalize that specific rhythm so that when they step onto the course, the rhythm is automatic. It's impervious to the external stresses of competition. It's a conscious control mechanism designed to produce unconscious consistency.
That complete control over the internal rhythm, regardless of the pressure, that's a huge mental leap forward from the typical player who speeds up when they get nervous. But consistency is only valuable if it's calibrated correctly. Which brings us perfectly to our third section, strategic mastery, the intelligence behind the swing. So let's move to that third factor, precise distance control.
Right, and this moves beyond feel and into, well, applied data science. For an amateur, I hit my 7-iron 170 yards is sort of a stable fact. For a pro, that statement is useless. They have to be experts at accurately estimating the distance the ball will actually travel, factoring in all these complex dynamic environmental conditions.
So they're factoring in things we often just ignore, like humidity, changes in elevation or temperature, stuff that actually affects the ball and the club face.
Absolutely. They know their exact target carry distance under any given set of variables. They might realize that their 7-iron, which normally carries, say, 170 meters, will only carry 165 on a cold, humid day into a slight headwind. They adjust their club selection based on that calculated actual carry distance, not based on the sticker number on their bag. They're effectively solving a complex physics problem in about 30 seconds before every single shot.
That level of calibration is stunning. But it leads us right to the ultimate strategic difference that most of us watching completely miss their expectation when aiming. We keep hearing that pros rarely aim directly at the flag. If they're so precise, why the aversion to the direct target?
Because professional golf is a game of calculated risk and managing dispersion. They deliberately build in a necessary margin of error, a playroom, you could call it left or right of the pin. They understand that even with a perfect swing, perfect tempo, physics dictates there will be a slight variation in the ball flight.
Wait, I need you to unpack that dispersion pattern idea.
Yeah.
It just seems so counterintuitive. You're telling me with the tournament on a line, they intentionally choose a target that isn't the hole.
Entirely. They use statistical data, their own performance history, to define a safe corridor. If they know, for example, that when they miss, they tend to miss slightly to the right.
Okay.
They will aim slightly left of the target, ensuring that their typical miss still lands safely on the green. They assess their own individual strengths and weaknesses in relation to that specific pin position. If the pin is tucked close to the water on the right side of the green, aiming straight at it risks disaster.
A total blow-up hole.
Exactly. The statistical smart play is to aim aggressively left towards the center of the green, accepting a guaranteed 25-foot putt rather than risking a drop penalty. They were playing the long-term averages, not attempting the heroic low percentage shot. They prioritize consistency and avoiding penalty strokes above all else.
So it's statistics overriding emotion every single time. But this precision sounds like it demands impossibly tight groupings. Do we have a specific metric that shows just how tight those margins are?
We do, and it's probably the most mind-blowing detail from our sources. It highlights the rigorous structure of their practice. Pros know their accuracy within specific yardage bands. These are defined distance areas like 50 to 75 meters, 75 to 100, 100 to 125, and their practice is explicitly designed around repeating shots within these tight bands.
Why the bands? Why not just practice hitting the 150-yard marker over and over?
Because success in golf is defined by managing proximity to the hole, and that performance changes dramatically every 25 yards or so. By using bands, they can isolate specific clubs and techniques and measure their performance against defined tolerance levels. It makes practice fully measurable.
Okay, that makes sense.
And here is the metric that illustrates the precision required. When a PGA Tour player is hitting a shot from, say, 168 meters out, that's nearly 185 yards, they typically only allow themselves about 30 centimeters of leeway left or right of their calculated strategic target line.
30 centimeters. That's barely a foot of deviation at almost 200 yards.
I know.
That means if they hit a shot outside of a 2-foot wide window, they classify that shot as a poor result, even if it lands on the green.
Exactly. Their strategic playroom is minuscule, and their practice is designed to hit that corridor repeatedly. It completely redefines what we think of as accurate. Professional golf at this level is not an athletic exhibition. It is a masterclass in calculated risk, real-time applied physics, and managing expectations within razor-thin statistical margins. They're aiming for statistical safety, not the perfect score every time.
That is a fundamental paradigm shift. So let's rapidly synthesize the 4 crucial takeaways from Henrik Jentsch's breakdown for you, the listener, who might be looking to apply this level of performance management to your own work. We started with Pillar 1, radical precision in the setup. Eliminate all variables before the action starts. Your foundation has to be flawless and repeatable. Pillar 2, constant rhythmical tempo, relying on an individualized inner cadence that is independent of stress or required force. The timing never changes, only the power output.
That's a big one.
Pillar 3, precise distance calibration. Mastering the ability to estimate actual real-world carry distance by factoring in complex conditions like wind and temperature, knowing the facts before you commit. And Pillar 4, strategic aiming. Using personal statistical data to define safe corridors, those yardage bands, and rarely aiming directly at the riskiest target, always respecting the statistical boundaries of their dispersion pattern.
And the overarching conclusion is that the pro's success is this fusion of high physical ability with extreme consistency and really sophisticated strategic thinking. Everything is quantified, everything is repeatable, and every shot is played against their own historical data. It creates an outcome that is highly controlled and highly predictable.
It's the total package of physical mastery combined with self-knowledge. Which brings us to the final provocative thought we want to leave you with, building on these concepts of individual cadence and data reliance. Since tour players rely so heavily on locking in their individual inner cadence and tailoring their strategic targeting to their personal strengths and weaknesses, how much of this highly refined game is truly about adopting a universal technique? And how much is about radical, data-driven self-knowledge, and relentless optimization of your unique operating system? Think about what happens when you apply that level of microscopic self-analysis to your own professional or creative output. We'll see you on the next deep dive.